All right, welcome everybody. Start off today. It was an interesting interview. It's actually between James McIntosh and Larry Summers. And Larry Summers, again, I make fun of him over the years. Um, by the way, I said it's the smartest man in the entire world. Just ask him. But he and I saw eye to eye when it came to inflation last year. It was obvious, plain as day. Um, he got it right. We got it right. There was a few others that kind of saw this coming. What Larry sees now, is he sees a situation where we might go into what let's call secular stagnation. What's secular stagnation? It's basically a period of, for America, substandard growth. And go back in history to some degree. Barack Obama wins, hope and change. Everyone's all excited about Barack Obama and what he was going to do and all these things. And he's got a green job czar. And then the green job czar can't be the green job czar because he's a communist. And then he ends up going work over at CNN. And he got one big project after another big project. You got Obamacare that went through. You got the federal government taking over student loans here in this country. And what you also got a lot of is big government. A lot of big government. More ridiculous regulations. Remember, this is on the heels of the Great Recession. You had the Dodd-Frank bill, which is an absolute joke. And a lot of rules and a lot of regulations. Basically, it turned a lot of business owners off. And if you recall, he had his American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, and it had the little logo that went along with that. I remember being on vacation in Puerto Rico and seeing piles of these signs in Puerto Rico. It was like at some off construction site, paid for by the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. I was like, oh, geez, give me a break. It's going to be so much waste. It's going to be so much nonsense. And we covered it. Okay. It became, kind of a joke. But it's not really funny because taxpayer money is being wasted. But you know how the media never calls it taxpayer money? It's federal government. Federal government's doing the spending. No, federal government's not spending anything. The taxpayers are spending. And you had Solyndra and you had battery and all these promises out there. And nothing worked. Nothing worked. If you remember State of the Union address, Obama tries to be cute, try to be funny. He's got this doofus vice president by the name of Joe Biden. And he talks about how Joe is going to be in charge of all the accountability, the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. And at the State of the Union address, he goes, because nobody messes with Joe. Okay. Next day, Joe Biden is being interviewed and asked about it. And he's like, we got a website. And the interviewer's like, what is the website? And Joe's like, I don't know. What's that website number? Give the guy something to do. But even Barack Obama admitted, never underestimate Joe Biden's ability to screw something up. I mean, he said it. And you people out there voted for the guy. But anyway, neither here nor there. It didn't work. Then we were getting pitched. I don't know. This had to be like 2010. 2010 because it was coming into the midterms, and you had them talking about recovery summer. Yes, it's going to be recovery summer. It's kind of like Seinfeld, the summer of George. Recovery summer, and recovery summer never worked. And then basically they threw their hands up in the air. They eventually threw their hands up in the air and they said that we, the people of the United States of America, need to accept the fact that all of this, phenomenal economic growth that we've had for decades and decades and decades and generations, well, that wasn't real. And we have to get used to this new standard here where we're going to have lower economic growth moving forward. secular stagnation. And that's what Larry Summers is talking about. And I got to be honest with you, it's hard to argue with it based upon the climate that we have today. When you place, and they are incompetent, completely incompetent. They're unqualified for their position. These people in cabinet positions that don't have any idea what the hell they're doing. All they know is big government and more regulations. That's the only thing they know. More cowbell. Saturday Night Live skit, the Blue Oyster Cult, Will Ferrell. We need more cowbell. That's government. We need more government. More government. You've got a problem. You know what? There's obviously not enough government out there. Well, no, that's when you get secular stagnation. And it's killing us right now. Here's a note out of the Dallas Fed. Okay. Well, they're durable goods orders in May, home sales in May, manufacturing survey June plunged to its lowest level since May of 2020. The survey was expected to rise, but plunged. New orders crashed into negative territory and employment weakened significantly. Perhaps most enlightening, the reality that facing many businesses in America, foreign dependence, cost inflation, overregulation, and Biden energy policies. As a country, we are not looking at the future and establishing relationships with emerging countries like we should to ease the dependency on Chinese products and services. This will hurt us in the long run. Everything we buy and comes and goes by truck, if we can get a truck at any price. Inflation will continue until the country is self-sufficient in oil and gas. The current political policy may not change until 2024. Therefore, inflation will be our consistent companion for a while, then stagflation. There's increased concern over Mexican manufacturers gaining more business in the United States due to not having the Section 232 tariffs. We see the environment for the oil industry becoming even worse than in the previous months. Biden is promoting a very caustic attitude toward the oil industry, which doesn't help the country in any way. And finally, the Dallas Fed's respondents' comments on the Biden administration seem to sum up how Americans feel today. This is, we'll all be lucky to have a job with 2 more years of this disaster. You can't ignore the economic fundamentals leading to a likely recession. And the administration is either stubborn or as paralyzed as deer in headlights. Again, that's a description that we gave here on the program. They don't know what to do. They look like deer caught in headlights. Government overspending and transfer programs have inflated the money supply while resulting in unchecked corruption and waste. Will we be paying that bill for generations? And what a colossal waste of resources and missed opportunity. I can go on and on and on. This is Dallas Fed. You disagree with that? You think all those handouts and giveaways and flying money over the country was beneficial? Again, I want to remind everybody out there, if you're out there and quite frankly, you're bitching and complaining, call it what it is. You're bitching and complaining about high inflation and you got some sort of stimulus check. You got some sort of handout, some sort of child tax credit. What are you talking about? You're paying it back. You're paying it back. Inflation is a tax, and this was, quite frankly, inevitable. Story here about the Securities and Exchange Commission and more involvement in a myriad of different things. This Gary Gensler character at the SEC wants to continue and expand the reach of the SEC. And it was funny yesterday on CNBC. Kramer was interviewing Gary Gensler. And Kramer, like he normally does, kisses ass. Kisses ass at anybody in government at any point in time. Didn't ask any sort of difficult questions whatsoever. How about this, Gary? I've been covering ripoffs and scams. And listen, Gary is in charge of the SEC. I answer to them. How is it that we spot fraud, we spot scams, we cover this stuff on the radio show here on the podcast news? We've been doing it for years. How is it that we can spot this stuff and you guys can't? You guys only act after everybody's been ripped off already. That you want more power? Okay, whatever. Talking about government regulations. This is from Sovereign Man. In a report called Barriers to Business, the Institute for Justice analyzed 20 U.S. cities for how easy it is to open 5 different types of businesses. Restaurant, retail bookstore, food truck, barbershop, home-based tutoring business. Now, entrepreneurs that wanted to start a restaurant, for example, have 13 different fees totaling $5,300 on average across the 20 cities. In San Francisco, those fees are $22,648. Now, again, these are costs in addition to the normal costs and work of opening a restaurant. They also looked at the number of regulatory steps and the number of government agencies it took to open up a business. On average, across the 20 cities, it took 55 steps and 8 government agencies just to open a barbershop. And as if the cost and time burden wasn't enough, the report found that in many of the cities, it was not even clear what all the requirements were to start a business. For example, the report analyzed if a city gave entrepreneurs a one-stop shop to open a business. That means a website which clearly lays out the requirements and allows owners to complete most of the forms all in one portal. Makes sense, right? Streamlining everything, ease of use. They looked at whether the portal is user-friendly and allows a business owner to track progress and organize the information from one online account. None of the cities received a 5 for 5 on the one-stop shop. Birmingham, Des Moines received a 0. Atlanta, Detroit, New Orleans, New York, Pittsburgh, San Francisco came close to a 4 out of 5. Raleigh. It may only cost $1,300 in fees to open up a restaurant, but the city meets 1 out of 5 one-stop shop criteria. The report correctly observes that you shouldn't need a law degree to start the small business of your dreams. Obviously, these types of costs and burdens are the exact opposite of what made America strong and prosperous in the first place. I can go on and on and on, and we complain about this stuff here. Yeah, I mean, I had to have work done on my house last year. We moved in and wanted to have some things done, and I had to pay people off. It's kind of accepted now. You have to pay an expediter. Oh, you want your permits? Want to get all that stuff permitted? You got to pay somebody. You got to pay somebody, or guess what? None of this stuff is going to be seen. And it all piles up, and all government workers, I can't work because of COVID. Oh, shut the blank up. It's freaking paperwork. Oh, you can't do it from home? Can't do it from home. What are you on? Your third tequila by 10 o'clock? Anyway. Michael Burry, we talked about him here on the program. He was featured, obviously, in the Big Short, Scion Asset Management, or is it Scion Capital? I can't remember the exact name. Not important. One of the guys like ourselves that called the whole housing debacle, except he made a fortune doing it. He actually went to the various different investment banks and had them actually, hedge fund guy, had them make securities betting on the demise of the housing market, and he made a ton, obviously. He mentioned, talking about the same thing we were mentioning here on the program, the kind of bullwhip effect that we're going to have when it comes to the economy and various different prices. Basically, many businesses out there looking to get rid of inventory at any cost. And that means you're going to see mega sales. We told you about this. Mega sales coming soon to a theater near you. What that bullwhip effect is, it's going to hit and it's going to drive down the CPI. Without a doubt. It's going to drive it down. Now, again, you're talking about, things like food and energy. They're not coming down. They're not coming down. It's going to be interesting to see how the Fed reacts to all of this. You actually get various different people come out, everyone from Ken Langone, even Jeremy Siegel today, and myself, saying, we could be in a recession right now. We could be in a recession right now. And when we got the first quarter GDP growth, and it was negative, it was 1.4, then it was revised down to 1.5. And I actually said here on the program that, believe it or not, that's good news. It's good news because, I saw a recession coming, and the sooner that you get into a recession, the better off you're going to be, because, again, people start anticipating coming out of the recession. But you got guys like Michael Burry actually suggesting that the Fed's going to have to stop soon. Fed's going to have to stop soon. And they may, by the end of the year, have to start going in the other direction. Listen, Fed can't really go too high anyway. Just can't. Our budget couldn't handle it. Our budget simply couldn't handle the higher interest costs. And you're not like you're going to get people in Washington, D.C. to all of a sudden, have that come to Jesus moment and try to be fiscally prudent. It doesn't happen. I wish it did. I mean, I talked, a month or two ago, I said the need to revisit the Simpson Bowles, which was done under the Obama years committee to go ahead and cut down on government costs and reduce government waste and all of these other things. And it was rejected by both parties, because they just want to spend and spend and spend. I'm going to give you the name of this author here. His name is Jonathan Haidt. And he had a piece in the Atlantic, lengthy piece, some 40 pages long, printed it up. Why the past 10 years of American life have been uniquely stupid. And he basically breaks down what's happened to this country due to, in part, he places a lot of blame on social media and how the divisions and how they are been exacerbated in so many ways, and how this is by design. And it's a great piece. He gets into the Federalist Papers and Madison, some of the things that he wrote about factions in this country, and the need for people to come together. And, what held this country together for an extended period of time is, people got their news from, in essence, a few places, and it was kind of the same. Everybody was kind of looking at the mirror. So we had a similar type of experience. That mirror's been busted, and it's been fragmented into social media, and social media's desire to feed people's confirmation bias, and they pick up what you want to read and feed into emotions and all of this stuff. And again, I explained a long time ago that, I thought Twitter is a toilet and social media is nothing but negative energy. I think he goes in, he mentions many things I talked about. I said, Zuckerberg, when he first put together Facebook, he wasn't planning on this happening. Wasn't. Social media is here to stay. I don't see it going anywhere, but we might want to be a little bit more responsible with it. And again, that starts with you. Okay. You don't have to respond to mean tweets. You shouldn't even retweeting this and reposting that. Actually gets involved as well. The guy that talks about the like button. Trying to making things go viral or share, whatever it may be. And, you Ben Franklin, talking about how a lie make its way halfway around the world before the truth gets out the front door. Social media exacerbates that on both the left and the right. But it's a fascinating piece, and I highly, highly recommend it. Victor Davis Hanson, in a similar, different but same piece, talking about how America is more fragile than he points out the left, and the left actually understands, thinking that we can survive all of these shocks that we're giving to our system here. And he says, quite frankly, we can't. We're always been just one generation away from losing things. And again, this weekend on the show, I'm going to go back. I'm going to revisit some of these themes, things I've talked about in the past, wasted talent, going back to ancient Rome, and some parallels that could be made and what we should really learn from. And also, the idea that we have to get back to a bit of, I guess, you know, inner inner honor and respect. And I always think he's being Socratic when you want to debate somebody, and when you're debating somebody, your goal shouldn't be to to destroy or belittle somebody. You want to have a conversation with people and try to come up with something. Now, again, you can't argue with what I call idiots that are going to make stuff up. That conversation's not going to go anywhere. But this instant canceling, and listen, this is the right has its problems. There's no doubt about that, and they have issues with the truth in many different ways. But the left, there's no discourse anymore on the left. The left has become. They've become the Taliban. They become ISIS. You better get with the program, or you're going to get eliminated. You can't question what they have to say. How many I want to say liberals, traditional liberals, people, that I used to appear on with programs. They can't go back on MSNBC or any of these programs because they diverted from the orthodoxy, and they must be destroyed. And that's what you see happen on social media. Again, I don't know how people do this stuff and live with themselves. And interestingly enough, I don't think they're living with themselves very well. It's a Gallup poll, this worldwide Gallup poll, talking about the happiness of people around the globe, and the numbers are dismal. Again, does it really make you happy? Does it really make you happy to be nasty, to be mean to others? No, it eats away at your soul. Really does. Makes you ugly, quite frankly. G7. Is this again? You get these group of, G7, world's greatest cities. You want to talk about just how incompetent this entire crew is? It doesn't lend them much confidence. They're all incompetent boobs. Again, how is it that we told you right here on the program that the sanctions that you're putting on Russian oil were going to do zip, zero, zilch, nada, and in fact have the opposite effect and put more money in Putin's pocket? How is it that we were able to tell you that, but all these wizard of smart world leaders, G7, couldn't figure that out all by themselves? Unless you get everybody on board, unless you get China on board, unless you got India on board, guess what? You're out of luck. They're going to buy Russia's oil at a discount. It is what it is. And nobody is putting pressure on India or China. No, not going to happen. So this is what they've come up with now. Yeah. They're trying to come up with a plan, which, again, they want Russia to start selling again, would allow Russia to keep selling oil. So that means Europe's going to start buying it again, but would limit the price. This is politics. You see, this is Putin winning and these G7 countries trying to save face. Hey, people, you want me to lie? Huh? This is Putin winning. So Putin's got, all these countries, they need this energy. They can't last that much. I mean, they're getting whacked. Everything that they have done, okay, over the past 15 years has been a colossal F up in Europe. And again, we told you this was going to happen. Germany is starting up coal-fired plants. France just announced that they're going to be firing up their coal-fired plants. There's rumblings now that Germany's going to go back and try to put the nuke plants back online. How'd all that green crap work out for you? Not to mention, let's rely upon Putin for our energy. How'd that work out for you? Oh, really? You failed to recognize that the sun doesn't shine every day and the wind doesn't blow all the time, and you weren't going to get enough from solar? Not going to get enough from solar, not going to get enough money from enough from wind. Why do you think so many German manufacturers decided to move their shop over to the United States? One of the biggest reasons was energy costs. Energy's a hell of a lot cheaper here. And guess what? Yeah, you need energy. Need energy to power a plant. Need energy to build that BMW and that Mercedes, do you not? There's actually a column about this today talking about the end of the German ideal. They praised Angela Merkel and Germany's position in the world. And let's be honest, okay? They're screwed right now, but they played us. And most of Europe continues to play us. Well, you think, I know, Germany talked up a big game. They're going to start putting more money into their military. Do you honestly believe that? Why would they? Why would they when they've got suckers like the United States of America that are going to be willing to defend them no matter how stupid they are? And when I mean stupid, I mean stupid. Yeah, we're going to shut down our nuclear power plants. We're going to shut down our coal-fired plants, and we're going to rely completely on Vladimir Putin. Yet we're a member of an organization, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, that is designed to protect us from Russia. So we're going to rely upon our could-be, would-be enemy. I understand you want to get together. You want to do business with them. You want to foster better relations. I get that. I'm a big believer in that. But what if something bad happens? Guess what? Something bad happened. They are shit right now. They don't know what they're going to do this winter. They're so far behind the 8 ball. Anyway, street money, walking around money. It's actually there's a pretty good documentary on Teddy Roosevelt. History Channel documentary is watched, and it gets into when he was running for governor of New York, and he was just a completely different type of candidate. And there's a lot of concern. They were talking about how there's a lot of concern that the machine, Democratic machine in the state of New York, and it's powerful. It still exists. So it runs Albany, New York for the most part. They were going to start spreading around money to get those votes. And this has always been the case. Get you walking around money. And guess what? Gavin Newsom. Yep, $300 billion budget agreement includes $17 billion in what amounts to checks, just handing out money. Millions of Californians will be receiving up to $1,050 as a part of the new middle class tax rebate. Yep. They have a budget surplus due to all the COVID relief that they didn't spend in capital gains revenue. And they're just going to start giving away cash. Again, Gavin Newsom opens up his own FM radio station. Hey, it's 3:00 and we're giving away cash. You're middle class out there. You make under $75,000. You got dependents. We're giving away cash. Yeah, that sounds fair. Yeah, that's very American. Right. Sure. Speaking of California, how about this? Right. And again, what does one need to do? What does one need to do in California to get put in jail? Two drug traffickers in California they were arrested last week. They were in possession of 150,000 fentanyl pills. 150,000. Now, I can't tell you how many people that could actually kill. They were arrested during a traffic stop turned drug bust. They were booked in Tulare County pretrial facility, charges of possession, transportation, and selling of illegal drugs. They were released. They were released on their own recognizance. All inmates booked in Tulare County jails are sent through what is known as the risk assessment process. The risk assessment is then sent to a judge with the court, who then determines whether or not the individual arrested is held on bail or if they are to be released. They had 100. This is a drug. This is a drug that's killing, again, over 100,000 people a year here in the United States. They're caught with 150,000 of these pills, and they let them go. Anybody think that they're going to show up at their court date? I don't know what to tell you. I don't. Again, you see stories like this, and you find it hard. Like I said, I try to keep my cool, my composure. You want to try to look. I don't see any sort of reasoning behind this. It's up. The death toll's up to 50 now, in that migrant tragedy, back of a truck. 50 people now, I think 4 or 5 children, and the human trafficking into the United States. We spent a lot of time yesterday here on the program talking about immigration and reform. Again, you got the fingers being pointed right now. Texas Governor Abbott, says these deaths are on Biden. I don't know whether that's true or not. I just know that rhetoric, quite frankly, is not going to help. There's, like I said, I think that there's some good legislation on the table to do with this. I mean, there's a compromise that could be had, but I don't think anybody really wants to freaking compromise. I really don't. I don't think we have the people in place that really want to get anything done. I said, stop illegal. You want to put the wall, do everything that's necessary. Stop illegal immigration into this country. Again, what we have going on here, let's deal with it. Okay. Let's come to that point in time we realize we're not going to do mass deportation. It's just not going to happen. Not going to happen. And I mentioned, we talked about it yesterday, Salazar's dignity program that she came up with, and I think it's direction we need to go to. I mean, again, you got 50 people dead. Do you think we might want to get something done? Just saying. Anyway, have a great day, buddy. Watchdog on wallstreet.com. Watchdog on wallstreet.com. We'll see you.